Hey, so one thing I wanted to touch on, because you are so important to the culture of Chicago, and I always like this about you, selfless. You got calls from people that put prominent rappers in position. We don't got to say no names, but it was a time when you would have the extremes and no IDs call you and say, "E-Mac, who popping in the city?" And you would give the flowers to who deserved.
Yeah, I mean I'll say that's kind of true. To be honest, so I remember what you're talking about specifically, and what it was I was the if you're talking about like an extreme or a no ID,
Right.
I would be playing the role that they would have been playing within that situation in terms of being like the internal producer
Right.
/ engineer, holder of all the files and sessions, like the responsible one that was driving the car on the music. Like the music got done because I was getting it done. Even if I didn't do the beat, I was recording the vocals, I was mixing the songs down, I was putting the mixtapes together, whatever. So that was known among those of us that speak that language, right? So because me and Kate Fox were working together, and her and No ID had a history, she was out there working with No ID, doing background vocals on a lot of big albums like Rick Ross, Nas, some other stuff that Dion was doing at the time. And she had hit No ID, like, the person that has all the files in the music is E-Mac.
Right.
So she had called me with him on three-way, and we ended up having this hour-plus conversation. He had just gotten that job at Def Jam as an A&R.
There you go. Let's talk.
Which his entry point was the Big Sean project.
Right.
But he wanted to find the next thing in Chicago. And so we had this whole discussion about who did he have his eyes on and what did he want to do? He wanted to bring the street element, like, Twista, of course. Common is a different breed. Lupe is a different breed, but there still hadn't been like that street king of Chicago. It was gonna be Bunk, but we all know for a lot of reasons that just didn't manifest. But there hadn't been the 50 Cent, Rick Ross, Snoop, 8-Ball MJG, Cash Money, whatever. There hadn't been that proper street representative from our generation to really get on in Chicago, other than Twista, right? Yeah. But a lot of people might put him in because of the style of rap. That's just a unique style thing, right? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, he wanted to find somebody that embodied that, but also like hip hop lyricism and the ethics that we know No ID stands for. You know what I'm saying? So he was looking at Marvel at the time. He was looking at a young Vic Mensa when they had the group called Kids These Days. Right. That was like a live band, but Vic Mensa was the MC. But he was still underage. He wasn't old enough to sign his own contract yet. Yeah. But he wanted to fuck with Sly. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they started, working on some records and shit. And honestly, I don't know why that didn't, really come together.
Manifest.
Yeah, it didn't manifest. But that's what Bishop is referring to at that time. And Extreme was involved in that too, because Extreme was communicating with No ID and like.
Yeah, but we got a lot of.
Extreme knew because we're close. Like he knew what it was that I was doing.
Yeah.
In that. You know what I mean?
But you never was a gatekeeper.
Nah, because I'm a team player and I want to see the team win. If the team wins, I win. Like a lot of people that they look at it like from a selfish standpoint, you end up messing shit up because you're thinking too much about your shit. If we get on as a unit and everybody plays their position, the whole team wins. Well, I would have to speak to that in house music terms because those opportunities have been in the various international house communities, right? House music in Chicago is old because it started here. People can argue the New York shit all they want to, but there's parallel timelines. But house music is a Chicago thing. Yeah. So there's the culture here. There's a lot of younger generations that are into house music now, but they're segregated from the older crowds. You know what I mean? And because Chicago ethnically is a very segregated city, a lot of the Chicago house music events tend to be over 50, over 55, and predominantly Black. Now, there's a lot of Latinos that fuck with house music. There's a lot of Asians, white people, everybody that fucks with house music. But like, especially these younger generations are segregated, and Chicago ethnically has always been segregated. It's one of the most segregated cities in the United States. So when you go to some of these other places like London, it's different. They don't have the dogma that the United States has. But, I mean, racism has been everywhere, but like the context is different in some of these other countries, in some of these cities. I've been able to DJ in Paris. Like, it's just more diverse. They celebrate soulful music more, where for some reason, we all have our theories why. A lot of soulful and substantive music is like pushed to the side in the United States, and the destructive shit is put in the front. You know what I mean? A lot of people believe that's systematic, strategic. But there's just different, I would say that the underground, real soulful and deep house music that we love where we come from is more celebrated in some of these cities like Paris and London or Amsterdam or shit. I was in Edinburgh, Scotland. You know what I'm saying? They love soulful music. The first time I ever DJ'd in the UK was at a festival called Southport Weekender, and I came back and I was like, the white motherfuckers are different over there. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's plenty of people like me in America that are white that love soulful music genuinely, but the percentage is smaller.
Right.
They don't have the same stigma over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, they fuck with that shit. You go over there like, damn, I like it here.